How mercury causes brain neuron degeneration. Mercury has long been known to be a potent neurotoxic substance, whether it is inhaled or consumed in the diet as a food contaminant. Over the past 15 years, medical research laboratories have established that dental amalgam tooth fillings are a major contributor to mercury body burden. In 1997, a team of research scientists demonstrated that mercury vapor inhalation by animals produced a molecular lesion in brain protein metabolism, which was similar to a lesion seen in 80% of Alzheimer's diseased brains. Recently completed experiments by scientists at the University of Calgary's Faculty of Medicine now reveal, with direct visual evidence from brain neuron tissue cultures, how mercury ions actually alter the cell membrane structure of developing neurons. To better understand mercury's effect on the brain, let us first illustrate what brain neurons look like and how they grow. In this animation, we see 3 brain neurons growing in a tissue culture, each with a central cell body and numerous neurite processes. At the end of each neurite is a growth cone where structural proteins are assembled to form the cell membrane. 2 principal proteins involved in growth cone function are actin, which is responsible for the pulsating motion seen here, and tubulin, a major structural component of the neurite membrane. During normal cell growth, tubulin molecules link together end-to-end to form microtubules, which surround neurofibrils, another structural protein component of the neuronal axon. Shown here is the neurite of a live neuron isolated from snail brain tissue, displaying linear growth due to growth cone activity. It is important to note that growth cones in all animal species, ranging from snails to humans, have identical structural and behavioral characteristics, and use proteins of virtually identical composition. In this experiment, neurons also isolated from snail brain tissue were grown in culture for several days, after which very low concentrations of mercury were added to the culture medium for 20 minutes. Over the next 30 minutes, the neurite membrane underwent rapid degeneration, leaving behind the denuded neurofibrils seen here. In contrast, other heavy metals added at this same concentration, such as aluminum, lead, cadmium, and manganese, did not produce this effect. To understand how mercury causes this degeneration, let us return to our illustration. As mentioned before, tubulin proteins link together during normal cell growth to form the microtubules which support the neurite structure. When mercury ions are introduced into the culture medium, they infiltrate the cell and bind themselves to newly synthesized tubulin molecules. More specifically, the mercury ions attach themselves to the binding site reserved for guanosine triphosphate, or GTP, on the beta subunit of the affected tubulin molecules. Since bound GTP normally provides the energy which allows tubulin molecules to attach to one another, mercury ions bound to these sites prevent tubulin proteins from linking together. Consequently, the neurite's microtubules begin to disassemble into free tubulin molecules, leaving the neurite stripped of its supporting structure. Ultimately, both the developing neurite and its growth cone collapse, and some denuded neurofibrils form aggregates or tangles, as depicted here. Shown here is a neurite growth cone stained specifically for tubulin and actin, before and after mercury exposure. Note that the mercury has caused disintegration of tubulin microtubule structure. These new findings reveal important visual evidence as to how mercury causes neurodegeneration. More importantly, this study provides the first direct evidence that low-level mercury exposure is indeed a precipitating factor that can initiate this neurodegenerative process within the brain.
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana. Today is July 14th, 2013, and here are your news updates for today. The Watchers watching the world. Strong eruption with violent explosions and huge ash emissions at Tungurahua volcano, Ecuador. Research finds radioactive substance in sediment under a Swiss lake used for drinking water. Heads up! New lava flow started at Fuego Volcano, Guatemala. Alright. So, Saulik weakened into tropical storm after landfall in eastern China. Alrighty then, moving on. Let's go to the E&E News, Energy News, U.S. Canada. Officials, oil coming up at giant sinkhole, bottom now so deep, unable to measure with current equipment, depth over 500 feet. Heads up! Oh my goodness, and there's oil coming up. We shouldn't be paying anything but 50 cents for a gallon of gas. Alrighty then. Look at all the gas we had. Alright. Now I'm attaching stuff. Heads up. If you have mercury fillings, you might want to see about getting those out and replaced. I'm attaching more information on that. This is very important information. I know there's some civil unrest over this trial stuff. Seems like this stuff will never end. It's a shame. And I did approve a video from No Lies Truth Me now. Thanks for the video. It was very interesting. I gotta go walk the dogs. So I'm gonna attach the videos. And I didn't see Dr. Deagle's up there yet, but if it is, I'll attach it too. Alright, take care. Everyone, please be safe. And to be safe, you might want to get rid of any mercury in your mouth. And detox. Alrighty then. It seems like I remember having tonsillitis. I remember having a lot of those mercury fillings too. Alrighty then. Seems like it looks. I remember Dr. Deagle explaining that. Maybe I'll find something of his too in a few days. But check it out. This is very, very important. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Alrighty then.
Toxic, mental, physical and emotional effects of mercury on the body have been well recognised for centuries. Although you are exposed to mercury through a variety of sources, including eating fish and the preservative thimerosal, which is included in some vaccines, for most people the majority of their exposure comes from their dental amalgam fillings. Amalgam was developed 180 years ago and has never been exposed to any meaningful safety testing. It is a mixture of 50% liquid mercury and 50% powdered metals, and it never truly sets, instead becoming a stiff paste of alloys in a liquid mercury base. These different metals create a battery in the moisture of the mouth, and when these fillings discharge their electrical current, the liquid mercury is vaporized. Mercury truly acts like the proverbial spanner in the works in the body, disrupting biological function on a number of different levels. The following is not exhaustive, but presents a list of some 150 documented symptoms of mercury toxicity. Up to 80% of inhaled mercury vapour is absorbed through the lungs. From here it travels to all the other tissues and organs of the body in the circulation, but particularly concentrates within the kidney, liver and brain. The presence of mercury in the lungs causes chronic breathing disorders such as asthma and bronchitis. Mercury is both highly neurophilic, which means that it binds tightly to nerves, and highly lipophilic, which means that it binds tightly to fats. When distributed around the body in the circulation, it is absorbed into the nerve endings that regulate all the functions of the body. From there, it slowly tracks up the nerves into the central nervous system in what is known as retrograde axonal transport. It prevents nerves regenerating by disrupting the protein tubulin, severely disrupts nerve function and also attacks the insulating myelin sheath surrounding some nerves. Mercury from amalgam easily crosses the blood-brain barrier and can damage any part of the central nervous system, including the master endocrine glands at the base of the brain, which control both the nervous and endocrine systems. Mercury can produce a host of mental, emotional and behavioural changes and what are considered psychiatric disorders by disrupting neurotransmitters, interfering with endocrine gland function and hormones, and causing destruction of nervous pathways. The levels of mercury in the brain have been shown to be directly related to the number of amalgam fillings in the mouth. Whilst mercury is highly detrimental on its own, its destructive power can be increased 100-fold by exposure to other toxic metals such as aluminium, lead or cadmium. Mercury is also recognised to collect in the reproductive organs in both men and women, where it can cause a variety of disorders including infertility. It is known to directly cross the placental barrier in pregnant women and also to concentrate in breast milk, and mercury levels in newborn babies have been shown to be directly related to the number of amalgam fillings in the mother's mouth. Although mercury may most often lead to miscarriage and stillbirth, it can also cause developmental, neurological and behavioural defects such as ADHD and autism in the offspring. Mercury from dental amalgam fillings is also recognised to severely impact kidney function, such that animal studies have shown a 50% reduction in kidney filtration within a month of placement of the first amalgam filling. Mercury is also recognised to cause kidney and bladder diseases. Mercury also accumulates throughout the body in muscles and joints, causing the muscle tenderness and pain familiar to fibromyalgia sufferers and the joint pain, stiffness and swelling of rheumatoid arthritis. In particular, mercury seems to collect in the heart muscle and valves and has been found at 22,000 times the levels found in the blood. Mercury is strongly associated with elevated levels of homocysteine and cholesterol and heart attacks. It also causes red blood cells to rupture and replaces the iron in hemoglobin so that the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood can be reduced by half. Mercury also causes a weakening in the walls of the small blood vessels, leading to a reduced blood supply to the organs and tissues. Mercury both disrupts hormone production and release from the endocrine glands, and also blocks the receptors which allow the hormones to dock onto the target cells in the tissues. It may be particularly accumulated within the endocrine organs as a result of its chemical similarity to the essential mineral zinc. Mercury also collects in very high concentrations in the jaw bones and soft tissues of the mouth. This is a result of it being a heavy metal that literally sinks to the bottom of each body compartment, including the jaws and pelvis, and the fact that mercury is driven into the tissues of the mouth, which act as a cathode to the anode of the amalgam filling. Mixing gold and amalgam restorations in the mouth is also recognised to increase the amount of mercury vapour given off several-fold, and placing gold crowns over amalgam cores particularly drives mercury into the surrounding bone. Mercury also seems to collect in the many sensory nerves that serve the ears, adversely affecting both balance and hearing. For the body, the skin is a major route of excretion, and it will try to expel mercury via the skin, leading to itchy rashes and dry flaking skin. It can also cause strange crawling sensations and reddening of the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. As mercury is excreted in the skin, it causes the quality of hair and nails to deteriorate and may cause loss of body and head hair. It also seems to interfere with the regulation of perspiration, so that some people become unable to sweat while others sweat profusely. Some of the mercury vapour from amalgam fillings adheres to the lining of the nose and sinuses, where it may cause chronic or recurrent sinusitis or rhinitis and be transported directly into the brain. Mercury appears to collect within the eyeballs themselves, leading to the appearance of floaters, that is, dark cloudy areas, but also adversely affects the muscles controlling focusing of the eyes and lens, and the sensory nerves of the retina itself, leading to deteriorating vision. Much of the mercury from dental amalgams is swallowed along with foods or in the saliva, and the digestive system is usually one of the first to be affected. Mercury binds with and blocks the actions of digestive enzymes, leading to poor digestion and the development of food intolerances. It also alters the normal ecology of the colon, favouring the overgrowth of yeasts and suppressing the growth of friendly bacteria, which can lead to the development of intestinal permeability or leaky gut. The immune system is one of the first casualties of mercury toxicity. It causes a reduction in the number of natural killer cells, which are responsible for policing tumours and viruses, leading to viral infections and cancer. It also actively promotes the overgrowth of yeasts such as Candida albicans, leading to persistent or chronic fungal infections such as thrush and athlete's foot. Mercury also alters the ratios of T helper cells to T suppressor cells, so that the immune response is turned on more readily, but not terminated, leading to the development of allergies. Finally, mercury binds to proteins on the surface of the cells, leading the immune system to identify them as being foreign and initiating one of the 100 or more autoimmune diseases. Last but not least, mercury particularly accumulates in the mitochondria of the cells, where it poisons energy production. This leads to a profound fatigue and to frequently and persistently feeling cold. The presence of mercury in circulation can also cause headaches and migraines and other anomalies relating to the autonomic regulation of bodily functions. It can also cause difficulties getting to or staying asleep, and can also cause sleepiness during the daytime. There are a wide range of illnesses that have been linked with mercury poisoning, including fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, various digestive disorders, neurological disorders such as multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease, 100 or more autoimmune diseases, developmental and behavioural diseases such as ADHD and autism, and cancer. To find out more about the symptoms of mercury toxicity and for a natural programme of detoxification using widely available supplements, please refer to my book, Chronic Fatigue, ME and Fibromyalgia, The Natural Recovery Plan.